Or two? Take this moment. When your constituent is standing out in front of their burning home or standing over their lifeless child, they want to see performance. They don't want to hear about lack of preparation, lack of budget, lack of calls, lack of staffing, lack of training. They want to see professionalism. What they see cannot be changed. They will either be grateful for the department that protects them and the agencies that assist, or they will be left in disbelief with their confidence shattered by what they witnessed. They will tell everyone that they know what they watched, and they will never forget what they saw for the rest of their lives. Are you prepared? Are you prepared to accept that those of you sitting in front of us are going to be making a decision that may result in significant property loss and death? The decisions that you make tonight may or may not save people, may or may not save property. As a city, it's your elected duty to provide a safe environment for your residents. This fire department makes over 1,500 calls for service each year. Do you know how many of those calls the public expects perfection on? Every one of them. Nobody calls 911 and says, send me one random dude in a pickup truck. In 3 minutes, they want 5 brain surgeon decathlon race-ready winners to come out and solve their most difficult problem at their most difficult time. I've been with this city for 20 years as of September. In that time, the department grew to the most efficient and aggressive fire department in the Lake area. With the most meager of budgets, the men and women of this organization have provided the citizens of Eldon with the best response times, most medical saves, and less property loss than any department in the area. That is huge. That is something to be proud of. You, your predecessors, made the decisions to allow the fire department to become that. Eldon Fire has always done so much with so little. The fire chief has had great success with grants to keep the department in new gear and equipment. My relationship with vendors allowed the department to get the most of the grant dollars that were awarded. Grants are drying up and are becoming more competitive and more difficult to get. It has been said time and time again that you cannot fund public safety with grants. I've heard him preach that to you several times, and your predecessors. You could have budgeted for small amounts of equipment each year so they didn't expire all at once. You didn't. Fire gear expires altogether. That's a huge expenditure. Small budget items every year to receive small amounts to replenish it, great idea. The last grant replaced air packs that were set to expire at the end of the 15-year life cycle. What was the alternative if the grant had not been awarded? Air packs allow firemen to go inside, smoke and heat and flame. What's the alternative if we don't have air packs? Spray water from the outside? Not go inside and get Cassidy or Zach? We need those. They got them for a grant. Without the grant, it wouldn't have happened. What if one of your remaining personnel after the decisions tonight are injured or killed because of the equipment they need? Because it hasn't been maintained properly? Because it's out of date? Expired? Whatever. What are you going to do if someone is killed because of ineffective equipment or procedures? You have consistently broken down the fire department over the course of the last 10 years as demand for service has increased and volunteer numbers have dwindled. Removing the assistant fire chief, not replacing him, and making the chief and line officers do the duties typically assigned to that position. No budget increases to adequately staff or equip the department. No preventive maintenance budget to properly service the equipment. Not enough money to adequately train members. Not to mention the toll it takes on morale, knowing that they do not have any support or backing from the elected officials. Even with the constant decline in funding and opportunities, your fire department has been able to maintain a constant state of readiness and a very minimal response profile. The numbers are dwindling. Less people are responding. The calls are coming in continuously and increasing, but they're still answering them. Double stacked calls are happening every day. The department had 22 members in July of 2019. 1 chief, 6 paid staff, and 15 volunteers. But with your proposed cuts, You will be starting 2020 with almost half that number. 1 chief, 3 paid, and 8 volunteers. I have one more paragraph. The number will tilt the scale into the negative and not allow the city to provide adequate response numbers to the citizens as they increase the demand for service. Right now, they're getting by. Less people, it's going to be a hard hill to climb. You're going to be having trucks showing up with 1 person and no way to do anything. Thank you. Your stipend to do your elected duties? You have not?
No.
Very good. Okay, the volunteers have not received their stipend as budgeted either. Your firefighters put in countless hours of training and station hours on top of responding to calls. They do it because they want to help, but the stipend has always been a nice little gesture to compensate for that. It's not needed. A lot of us are doing this because we have the spare time, done it because they had the spare time. I understand cuts may be needed in the new budget, but how can you not provide a stipend that has already been budgeted for? Where has that money gone? It'd be interesting to know.
When is the stipend normally paid?
I'm sorry?
When is the
Quarterly?
stipend
In the
normally
past,
paid?
it was paid quarterly.
We were told it was paid in December at the Christmas banquet.
Well, I've been gone for a
And
while.
nothing has been turned into us for the stipend. I know, we've never had anything told to us about it.
I had a
You
conversation with
approved the
fire-
budget.
I had a conversation
Yeah.
with the fire chief today about this, so.
Outstanding.
We need to get your information straight.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't talked to the fire chief since I left the city duty, so I appreciate your comment telling me to get my information straight. But that is all I have today. Thank you. The demand then was significantly less. The types of calls were immensely different. The fires weren't what they are. The medical calls were not what they were. The hazardous materials incidents were not what they were. It was a different environment then. It was a lot easier to volunteer. Employers would allow people to leave their job when the bells would go off and respond. Now, you can't. To be a fireman requires a significant amount of education and training and certification. Back then, it was significantly less. So we just have a different breed now.
We're moving on.
That's how it worked then.